You clicked on this video because some relationship in your life, either past or present, doesn't make sense. Good. You are in exactly the right place. So I've been studying reincarnation for over 30 years, and I have learned that the relationships that show up in your life, especially the intense ones, aren't a coincidence. They are in your life because they are here to teach you something. We come into form to learn particular lessons, and relationships are the way that we learn those lessons. Those are our soul homework. In this video, I'm going to show you the 3 types of past life relationship homework, how to figure out if you're in the middle of it, and how to complete it. And I'm going to run through the 5 diagnostic questions that you can run on any relationship to try to figure out what the lessons are and what it looks like when you have officially passed. Okay, so let's talk about why. Why do we have homework? And why does it come in the form of relationships? Well, we often, when we talk about relationships on a spiritual level, we often talk about them just kind of falling into 2 camps. One being like our soulmates, and the other being like karmic relationships. So of these 2 models, punishment versus fate, they don't really give you anything to do. But the truth is, you are here on earth to do things. You are here to learn and grow, and relationships help us do that. That brings us to the concept of homework, our relationships as our homework assignments. Because we want to grow as souls. We want to get brighter. We want to return to our divine nature. And so as we come into form, we have things we want to learn, things we want to learn internally. And the best way for us to learn these lessons is to throw them into the exterior world, to learn them outside of us. So relationships become the curriculum. People come into our lives to help us play out this assignment, this exercise for us to learn. And it goes both ways. We're learning something from them, they're learning something from us, and it feels like a lot of drama, but we are growing underneath all of that. And the intensity and the drama of the relationship is representative to how big that lesson is. So if you're finding yourself in this really dramatic relationship, congratulations, you are in the middle of like your senior thesis. So of note, this video, I'm going to talk about past life homework specifically. There are a lot of different reasons relationships show up in our life and different ways that we're working through these homework assignments. But for the purpose of this video, we're going to be looking back and saying how the folks from that time in the Middle Ages are screwing with our lives now. So when we talk about past life homework, what is that homework? It kind of falls into 3 buckets. So bucket number 1 is karmic balancing. Yes, I did mention karma when we were talking about the punishment option at the top of the video. Certainly, when you have a past life where you have done harm to another person in some way, you now owe a debt to them. Or if you have done something wonderful to another person, like saved their life, they now owe a debt to you. You are out of balance. The universe loves balance. So hopefully you have a chance to get in balance in the same lifetime so that you don't have to carry it into another lifetime. But if you don't, for whatever reason, things stopped quickly in that life, or you really didn't want to deal with that person, or whatever the story may be, you carry that karmic imbalance into another life. So that might be in your life that you still have some debt to pay or to collect in this life. So that's bucket number 1. Bucket number 2 is unfinished business. Before we come into form, we make agreements with other people on the other side. And we say, hey, I'm going to do this for you. Would you do this for me? We create what are called soul contracts, where we agree to get up to something while we're in physical form together, to play out some sort of a dynamic. Now, Life is hard. I think we can all agree on that. We are not perfect people. We do not always fulfill our agreements as we made on the other side because we get into physical form and it's wacky. It's really wacky down here and we're doing our best to navigate. So it could be that you weren't able to fulfill your part of that contract. So you might end up carrying that unfinished business into your next life. What might that look like? That might look like, I agreed to support you in your career in a previous life. In a previous life, I said, I'm going to help make sure you advance on this career path. And I didn't. I screwed up. I didn't accomplish what I needed to accomplish, but I still owe you that because I told you I was going to do it. So that might be something that in the next life, you're like, okay, I'm going to fulfill my end of the bargain. You didn't get that experience that I told you I was going to help you with, even though there may have not have been any karma involved, but it was something that I agreed to do. I didn't do it, so I'm going to give it another shot. So that might be some past life homework that you're working on now. Is again, it is also sort of a debt. It's just not a karmic one. And the third type of past life homework is lessons that you did not finish in previous lives. So again, this is all about things left undone in our previous lives. So maybe in a past life, you were determined to learn about compassion or justice or power, whatever it may be. And you had a whole plan for that life that you were going to learn that lesson. You were going to nail it. You were going to be a rock star. And you didn't learn it. You didn't finish it because, like I said, life's sometimes on us. So you come into this life knowing, okay, well, I still haven't finished that earlier mission that I had. So I'm going to try again in this one. And relationships might be a way to help you learn that lesson you hadn't learned in a previous life. So again, past life business showing up now. Okay, so that's all well and good. How do you know? How do you know if these challenges, these relationship struggles that you're dealing with are from a past life? Well, one, and this is a big one, is that things can feel a lot bigger than what they might look on the surface. So for example, do you tell the story to other people and you have so much like emotional drama, anger, upset about the story, and it really doesn't sound like that big of a deal? That's because those emotional states make complete sense when you looked at whatever the story was in the last life. If they were like, oh yeah, he murdered you, I get why you're so upset at him for leaving out the laundry and not folding it, right? Whatever the dynamic might be. So that actually is something in my life that I experienced with my beloved dear father, that he is not a tidy person. And I end up having to kind of clean up after him, or have had to in the past. And the amount of emotional reaction to it is so much larger than what the situation is. It really kind of is confusing. But as I listened to it, it was because it felt like some sort of servant energy. Like I felt like I was expected to be a servant. So that for me is a clue that we are working out some past life homework in this life that we didn't get to clean up before we ended the previous life together. Another thing, again, is through emotions. It might feel familiar. There might be something very familiar about this dynamic or this person that, again, might not necessarily match what the experience is. Again, I'll talk about my dad because he feels like my son. Now, I think those are probably different lives where I was his servant and I was his mother. I hope. But there's also like this just different dynamic that I have with my father than what it might look like on the surface. And the third way is that there's sort of this knowing to it. It's, again, it feels deeper than just something that you would look at on face value, that there's some sort of a recognition, an attraction. All of this to say, the way that you can really hone in is by listening to your emotional vibes, feelings, reactions to whatever this dynamic is, to whatever the situation is. Does it feel larger or different in some way than what it looks like on the surface? This is a huge way for you to know this is past life homework. Okay, so now you've looked at your relationships. You've been able to identify, okay, this certainly does feel like this might be some past life homework, some karmic rebalancing, some debt, some lesson that needs to be learned. Let's now go through the 5 diagnostic questions you can run on this relationship to try to figure out what is the lesson that you are trying to get at here. Okay, so the first question, what does this person consistently trigger in me? This is the subject here. This isn't about what they do, it's about how they make you feel. It's the feeling that is critical here. Maybe it makes you feel resentful. Maybe it makes you feel trapped. Maybe it makes you feel unheard or unseen or disrespected. Maybe it feels like in order to be good, you have to keep sacrificing yourself. What is it when you look underneath the dynamics that are playing out? What is it that it makes you feel? What is this triggering in you? Okay, now the next diagnostic question is, what's the pattern that I keep repeating in this dynamic? This is the heart of the lesson. Maybe it's that you continue to do these things even though it made you feel resentful and trapped. Maybe it's that you kept walking out or shutting down the conversation. Maybe it's that you never really express yourself, and so you're upset that this other person doesn't understand what's going on with you because you're not engaging in self-expression. So again, the first question, you're looking at the feeling. The second question, you're really looking at the behavior that you keep doing. Try to be honest with yourself because that's how you're going to learn. What's the behavior that keeps on playing out the pattern that creates this feeling, or that's associated with this feeling? Now, the third question is, what do you truly want out of this dynamic? What is it? If everything was wonderful, what would you get? Maybe you get to feel respected. Maybe you feel heard or seen. Maybe you felt taken care of. What is it that you want to receive in this dynamic, ideally, if everything worked out? Always useful information to have. What is it you really want? The fourth question, I think that's where things get interesting, is what does this tell you about your relationship with yourself? If it's that you want to be heard, are you listening to yourself? If it's that you want to feel respected, are you respecting yourself? If it's that you want to be taken care of, are you taking care of yourself? Again, whatever it is we're wanting to learn inside of ourselves, we project in the outward world. So when we look at the external world that's telling us what we're wanting to give to ourselves or showing us how we want to show up differently in our relationships, it's always coming from within, either in relationship to ourselves or in relationship to other people. Okay, now taking everything that you've learned from your first 4 questions, the 5th one is, who do you want to be? How do you want to show up? This is the homework. What would it look like to respond differently? If it's that you want to be heard, maybe are you expressing yourself? Or maybe it's that no matter how you express yourself, you're not being listened to. So you're going to listen to yourself and say, I need to go and be with other people who will listen to me. I want to be listened to. How are you going to show up differently? And I particularly like to tap into trying to be my best self. That is the most loving to other people and to myself, right? We don't need to reject ourselves in order to make relationships work. Relationships should work when they're balanced, when you're loving yourself and the other person, when both are respected. So in some dynamics, that relationship might serve the purpose just to simply wake you up to say, oh, I'm not going to be in a relationship with somebody that doesn't respect me because I respect myself. So I'm not going to disrespect myself to be with people who don't treat me right. That could be what that lesson is for you in this relationship, because the goal is never to fix the other person, although wouldn't we like to? Wouldn't that be great? But usually we can't. Not usually, always. People, you can communicate, you can work with the other person. It is always up to the other person to change themselves. So you can improve the relationship, but you can't necessarily change the other person, but you can change yourself. When you change how you show up in the relationship, you then change the relationship. The other person then has to decide if they're going to change along with you and change with you to make this a healthy relationship, or if you just need to realize that, oh, okay, this relationship, it served its purpose. But in the end, you can only be responsible for yourself, and you only have to be responsible for yourself. So do the right thing by yourself and the other person, and magic will follow. So I want to make sure that I call this out, is that if you are in a past life homework kind of relationship, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be in this relationship forever. It could be very well that the homework assignment was to draw your boundaries and to let this relationship go. I say that because it can be very easy in a spiritual setting to be like, oh, well, I deserve this because of some karma I did in a past life, or I need to stay in this because there's a lesson I need to learn. You need to honor yourself. You need to honor and respect yourself. What is the most loving and respectful thing you can do for yourself? Maybe that is staying in this relationship and making it work and seeing what you can do to improve and seeing how wonderful it is when you two grow together. And sometimes it's about letting you grow on your own. Both are good options, but never stay in a relationship that is harmful to you, that is detrimental to you, because the lesson is in itself to get out of that sort of a situation. You never deserve to be witness to or to be inflicted with harm, disrespect, suffering, a lack of love and appreciation. You deserve love and appreciation. So stay in the relationship if it gives you that, and be willing to let it go if it doesn't. Now, let's look at what does passing your homework assignment look like? What does it look like to get that grade A on your paper? One sign that you have passed this relationship is that the intensity decreases, that emotional intensity decreases. You're no longer triggered by that situation. Perhaps in the past, your brain used to go blah, 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 wild over this relationship. And now you just kind of don't really care so much. And maybe you're a little bit more disconnected. That could be a sign that you have passed the homework assignment, that you no longer get revved up emotionally by it. The second is that the pattern stops showing up. That pattern that we talked about in the 5 diagnostic questions, maybe that pattern stops showing up. You stop finding yourself in that dynamic. Well, great. Then that is a huge clue that you passed the homework assignment, that you're not continuing to go through the assignment. The third one, always really beautiful, is that you feel complete. You feel at peace. You feel good. Things feel great. You yourself can just know, oh yeah, I learned that, I've got that. I feel like I'm done learning that lesson. I've got it. So that can also be a way to see that you've learned your homework assignment. It may feel happy, but it may not. It just might feel done. You just might feel, yeah, I'm done with this. I'm over it. And the fourth is that the relationship either transforms or transitions, meaning the relationship now changes into something new, which is great, or it concludes, it ends. Either way shows you that contract, that whatever that was that needed to get balanced, learned, understood, that's finished. We're now ready for this relationship to take a new shape. And that shape could be you continue in that relationship, or that shape could be that relationship becomes a part of your past. So remember, the goal is never for you to fix or change the other person. Karma will take care of them. Their guides will take care of them. If there's something that they didn't get, if there's something that they need to learn, you don't have to be in control of that. The universe will take care of this. You get to worry about your relationship with yourself. So in order to effectively navigate your life, and not just this relationship, it is very useful to understand why you set up your life as you did, why you chose the people in your life as you did. This was all part of your pre-birth planning process. If you want to know what it was you got up to, what it was you were thinking, you can watch a video that I made right here where I dig into that whole process, all the steps that you go through, and why your life looks the way it does. Okay, well, I'll see you over there. Bye.